indifferent. This time, it's the wrong time, and he just happens to be the guy in this situation. Now, you, you can't close the box again. You can't do it. Tennis court. He's just a birthday boy. That's a great way to describe Louis XVI. It's my birthday! That's a great way. That's a fantastic way. No, I mean, like, he's not really interested in ruling. It's so funny. There's so many folks throughout history who get in these positions of power who have zero interest. Like, we were talking about Prussia for a hot second while I was going through the slides. And, like, you have guys like Fitz who just want to, like, read books. They just want to do that. They want to be a scholar. They want to be like a philosopher. They want to be like and they don't. They wind up making like some big changes in society, which is really cool. But there are so many times throughout history where it is just the wrong person at the wrong time. And when you have an indifferent, incompetent, ignorant ruler, it's not good. Grace, $258,983. Look at that. We're $17 away from $259K. Hey, we're raising money for unpaid medical debt. We're sure until we raise $1 million. We hit 250,000K, and so because of that, we are doing.
What's up, bro? I'm going to be doing schoolwork while listening to Tom Grossi talk AP Euro stuff. The French Revolution, to be particular.
And while for me, it's a little tough to have, you know, when you have to sympathize with a whole bunch of people. Zachary, thank you, American, thank you to the 17. Anonymous, thank you to the 17. When we have like people who are suffering and starving and all of that.
You weren't in the call, are you?
Yeah, indifference is just not going to cut it. But you could understand. You could understand why people hate Marie Antoinette. You can see why people are furious with Louis XVI. Because this has been going on since their parents and their grandparents. And as I mentioned, there's not a whole lot of social mobility. We're at 259K. I appreciate the hell out of you. Thank you. There's definitely zero empathy that's here. And so, now we've got Bastille. And again, I told you that they wind up making this oath on the tennis court, right? And you might go, why are they doing this on a tennis court, like where rich people play? It's because when the Third Estate, when they want to get representation and like people voting and all that great stuff, they are locked out of the estate still. They lock the doors. They go, oh no, we're just not going to open it. No, until you agree that we're just going to do the 1-1-1 vote. So they go, okay. And they just
I'm just chilling. We're just chilling. We're just going to do, I'm just going to do some schoolwork for a little bit.
It becomes this iconic thing of, oh man, it's the people of France gathering together. We want representation. We want a constitution. Also, again, when we're talking about constitutions, those are flying around the world right now, and also in Europe, and of course in the United States. But man, oh man, like is this? It's a turning point. And so now, I'm covering up the header. Thank you. Sorry, I can't forget the note. And so now, this is when we start getting into the deep water.
Oh.
The deep.
No. All right.
Yeah, she's my brother. Here is the Bastille. So, what winds up happening, because again, we're talking about Louis XVI not being the most effective leader at bare minimum, there starts to be an increased military presence.
Labor market, which
in
we already
Paris.
talked about.
And
Cobbs
just for those keeping
Hoffman.
track at home,
Ugh.
Versailles is outside of
Fuck.
Paris, so they are making these decisions. They're not even in the heart of the city, so they're just like, oh yeah, just send more troops, right? Things are getting a little bit rowdy
Test
out there.
hand is laundry.
A little rowdy.
Speech of fuck. Which one are we doing? Doing
He's making
Jacobson?
these decisions, he's agitating people even more, and the people are not very happy.
Are we doing
about this.
Jacobson or are we doing?
Because let's put 2 and 2 together. You complain to the king, The king doesn't care. You have to go to a tennis court to say, hey, we want a new constitution. Shocker, Louis XVI is not going to be like, oh,
fuck.
sure, guys, you can have a constitution. Here you go. Let me limit all my power. He does not say any of that. And instead, you're having more troops in the streets. So if you are a regular day
Oh, wait, these are two speeches.
citizen of the
This is
third
easy.
state, what are you starting to think? The king is not listening to you.
I was gonna schedule
and
myself
there
for
are
some
more
dashes
troops
this
in the
weekend.
street. What are you starting to put together? Why
Revolution.
is this going to upset?
Revolution. There we go.
Why is this going to be a problem?
Why is this going to be a problem, Tom?
I do have some slide. I haven't shown it in class. I've seen it before. They are, sure. Sure. Nothing's happening. No, something's happening. How is Louis responding to all these grievances?
He's not.
Got 3 hundo on the site.
He just doesn't care.
How is Louis responding? Hey,
Louis
yeah,
doesn't
let's use
care.
All this truce. What are you learning? You're not doing anything. He's literally responding with increased military presence. No!
No, Louis,
Now,
no.
Not only are you not listening, but you're then sending people in with guns who are like, all right, let's just make sure everything's on the up and up.
Louis,
Just
no.
make sure.
Louis, no.
Ooh, a little veiled threat. Ooh. The good old Bastille. I also like putting that it was built in the Middle Ages. Why did I put that in there? And that's a completely random fact. Why did it have to go in there? Why does it matter that it's in the Middle Ages?
Why does it matter?
Galaxy, old regime, symbol of oppression.
There you go.
Now we're rocking. Yeah, it's a symbol of the old guard, right? Everything that Louis XVI represents, all just the gluttonous spending, and eating, and absolutism, and now you have this thing that stands out. It built in the Middle Ages, and it looks it built of stone. It has been there for a very long time. And so, it becomes a bit of a symbol for folks in the third estate and those who are very, very, very young. So, what do? They storm the Bastille. So, it's a prison, so where they are keeping political prisoners.
I consider this defeat set
You guys out of there.
to the national calamity. Your reason?
There are worries that they are going to get their hands on weapons. DJ, appreciate the hell out of you. And they wind up killing one of
True
their
said the other.
commanders.
But you must need to be a smart man.
And what they do is they put his head on a stick and they parade it around Paris.
They put his head on the stick and they paraded around Paris.
Now, quick poll here. If you're Louis XVI
You're Louis the Sixth.
and you're chilling in Versailles and you just heard that a bunch of your citizens just stormed the Bastille, killed a military commander that was $603 away from 260. Shade you. And they chopped off his head and started parading it around the city. That's not good.
That's not good.
What's going on there?
Oh.
Not very good at all.
Shit.
Hearing is also very different from seeing too. So, this is very, 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 very. When
They're
this
getting mad.
happens,
They're getting
when
super
they
mad.
storm the Bastille, they chop off this dude's head, they parade it around the city. The National Assembly, the newly formed National Assembly, that now is saying, hey, we represent the people, we want a new constitution, they do not condemn this. They do not condemn this. What is that going to, what is going to be the consequences of that? Either go both good or bad.
I mean, bad. It's just
Sorry, not sorry.
this shit's about to get. This shit's about to go south. That's the problem. Like,
Troops, jail, escalation, sure. Yeah. Said it's okay to keep on chopping off people's
All
heads
that.
and yeah, it's not saying them a lesson of like, hey, you can't do this.
provisions. I was just
You're not able to do this at all. And so it's like, oh, well, if we're not getting yelled at, we're not getting reprimanded, okay. And again, think about it from Louis XVI's point of view. Think about it from the government's point of view, that you have the National Assembly who's like, yeah, they chopped off that guy's head. All right, let's work on this Constitution. Let's try to get this going.
No,
here.
maybe he didn't do that.
Legitimizing it. The tricolore winds up getting created, so you get a new flag that's going to be created. This is a whole lot of fun. By the way, real quick, James, thank you for the $5. James and James, thank you for the $5. Do you want to know a really, really random history fact? It's one of my favorite history facts, actually. Hold on. I'm going to pull up the picture. I don't know if I have it on this here. Give me 2 seconds. I want to see if I can pull up this image that I'm thinking about.
I forget this guy was an AP Euro teacher. God.
Maybe it's this. Okay. Hold on.
Yeah, that's wrong.
Okay. So I can't find this image. Let's see. Friggin' best. What the hell is this? Okay. So, show you this real quick. Real quick. Less than $600 away from 260. So when they start parading, like this becomes a thing. When they start doing that, there's these things that are called death masks that are created, and the person that creates them is Madame Tussauds. So if you've ever gone to like a Madame Tussauds, like the wax museums, like in the history, like in the cities or in the,
Oh my God.
you know, I think they're like, there's one in New York. There's one. If you ever, you know what I'm talking about? I've never been inside one, but this is where this comes from. This is where this originates from, because they make like those wax death masks like out of executed nobles and everything. So if you've ever been, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, it's like a very famous wax museum where they have like all the celebrities made out of wax and stuff. So yeah, one in Orlando, New York City, Niagara Falls, Nashville. So there you go. That's a little fun fact of the day. So the tricolore is going to be created. I also, there is a scene that I would love to show you from Casablanca, which unfortunately I can't when they sing the national anthem. It's one of my favorite because that French national anthem, it goes hard. It goes hard. Oh, there's one in Australia. There you go. In London. There you go. I think that's actually where the first one opened. I think it was in London. But, like, she was an actual person. And, yeah, she was in France. So the tricolore. That's right. Armed citizens, baby. Let's go. You have the different colors of the flag. So you have the bourgeoisie. You have the clergy. The bourgeoisie, by the way, third estate. Also very, 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 very important, too. Remember I told you there's, like, different tiers within the third estate? Blood of Our Enemies national anthem. Oh, it goes hard. There is disagreement within the third estate. Again, thank you for the $5. There is a ton of disagreement because you have to think about it. There's a ton of peasants, right, who are like, hey, can we have bread? And then you're going to have like factory owners who are trying to make, you know, these legislative changes. So the nobility is the red, clergy is the white side covering there, and bourgeoisie is going to be blue.
Nobility is
so there
red,
is
clergy.
infighting within the third estate. George Field, thank you for the point. Appreciate it. But my question to you is, why is it so important that this flag is created and it's representing all three estates? Why is this important? Perfect. There we go. There we go. Brad, good one. Equality. Right? Equality is a big one. unity. But as Cryptic said up there, starting to get into some waters of nationalism. Bit by bit.
Bit by
How's that?
bit.
Fantastic. And so when this starts getting flown around, and it's supposed to represent everybody, powerful messages, powerful art that's created. Anonymous, thank you for the hundo. Got the good old Bastille here. Good old representation. Good old Bastille. And again, like, it stands out. Like, pretty significant because it's built in the Middle Ages. So it is, it's old.
Hey,
It's been
Casca.
there forever. I
I
don't
might
wanna say
need
it's
to
an
mute.
eyesore, you know, 'cause that's subjective, but
Let me real quick.
people know all about the Bastille. Oh, I do have that image. Look at that. BG, Beggar 20. Yeah, Madame Tussaud this is where she gets her practice. When they start executing some folks, they she uses their heads to make a mold, and they get, because they can't just, like, they're not chopping off everybody's head. The red was the nobility, so it's kind of like the classic. I think it's the
Infamous says, "Ever disgrace
color of
this
France or Paris, I think
nation?
that's
It
what
takes from us all to
red
vote 500
in
a
the
month."
tricolor.
So this is about women's workers, right? That's what this is about. Unsheltered prairies. Talk about the children. We endured hardships, dangers, and privations. Hours of loneliness, fear, and sorrow. Our little babes were
Now it's
born
like
upon
Colonial
these
Soldiers.
wide,
It was
unsheltered
where they were
prairies.
going for, good God. Nobility. There we go. There we go.
Because it is not.
Red and blue are Paris, white is royal. So, Madame Tussaud, where she gets her start. This is one of my favorite
Oh
things
no,
here.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm just gonna make a one with the gem slots.
What happens after a group of people storm a building, kill people, start parading around town with their heads on a stick, pike, whatever, and it's not condemned?
No, because then I'd have to fight Volcana again. Well, to be fair, I actually might get the pieces after blackmail.
What happens? It continues. Uh-oh. It continues, and there is the
Yeah,
fear
so maybe.
of this
Otherwise-
continuing. Because when it doesn't get condemned, oh, we can go and do this? Give me 2 seconds. Gonna grab some more water.
Oh boy.
But this is called the Great Fear. So it doesn't happen for, like, the longest of times.
You guys might have Tom Grossi giving you guys a little
Less than a
lecture.
month. What happens in the countrysides of France, because when we talk about the French Revolution, a lot of times it just is focused on Paris, right? That's where we're chopping off heads. That's where all these government overthrows are going on. Blah, 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 blah. Peasants in the countryside who are living on their lord's land and working the land and also don't really have anything whatsoever, they start attacking and killing the rich and killing their lords,
School
and
church
they
and
burn their
here.
records of we have any feudal
Endured
obligation.
hardship, danger, preparation.
So they're basically
After
like,
all these years of
oh,
toil and preservation, dangers and hardships upon the Western
we're lo-
Front,
we're
monopoly is
looking in the
taking our
city,
homes
we're
from us.
hearing about this.
So this is rights.
They're probably not looking. They're hearing about this, and now
Rights,
we should have rights. Yeah.
companies.
One of the big comparisons I always make with this is actually with Martin Luther. So when Martin Luther, you know, he's getting the Reformation started, 95 Theses, the whole 9 yards.
Right.
He talks about things like equality a bunch. And there are peasants, you have a giant
I'm
German
gonna-
peasants revolt who go, yeah, we should have more.
I'm gonna
Start
hop into this thing.
Killing people to get what we want and to get more. And they go, Martin Luther is an inspiration to us because, yeah, we shouldn't be under, like, the boot of oppression and the church and the rich and the whole 9 yards. And Martin Luther goes, no, I'm not with them. He orders a whole bunch of princes to kill those peasants, and that does not end well. But again, similar outcomes here, that because you have this violence that is going to occur, and it's kind of like, oh yeah, broad reaching, we should all be equal. That's what the National Assembly is fighting for. And also, yeah, there's these folks who are killing people, which we're not really going to say anything about. Oh, those go hand in hand. And so some folks in the countryside go, we're going to take things into our own hands. We're going to get out of our obligations, and we're going to start burning those documents and killing people who have been over us for a very, very long time. This is called the Great Fear. Because if you are a member of the Second Estate, and you are one of those lords, and you are one of those nobles, you are terrified. 97%, you remember the picture I showed you, right? The clergy, the nobility, they're very afraid, reaching for the gun, breaking the shackles. They are terrified. But we're getting closer. Bit by bit, we're getting closer. I'm going to take a hot second just to go get water, though. All right, I will be right back. Okay. Hold on. I do want to check something real quick. Hold on one second. Okay. Apologies. I was incorrect about the storming of the Bastille. There was the thought that there were political prisoners there. I remember this as I'm walking up the stairs. At the end, there's less than 10 prisoners that are actually in the Bastille, and there were no political prisoners, which kind of makes the storming of it look even worse. There was the thought that this is where there was thought that there were political prisoners in there, and this is where they stored political prisoners, but there weren't any in the actual building. It's a detail, but I remembered as I walked up the stairs. Didn't want to get that wrong, so apologies. But again, it makes it look worse, too, because then they just chop someone's head off, and it's not great. Not ideal. So, okay. Let's put this here. Give me 2 seconds. Okay. So again, Great Fear, big dono on the site. All right. Looks like we're pausing. Looks like we're pausing real quick. No. What we got here? Hold on. Hold on to the night. All right, let's see here. Oh, that's up to 118. Oh, damn. Lily Anonymous, thank you. Nick, Alexa, thank you very much. Anonymous with an $1,800 donation. Woo! Appreciate y'all. Let's go. Basically 2K. 1, 2, 3. I'll give you the extra. Don't chop off my head. Bam. Anonymous, thank you very much. Appreciate you. If I'm not mistaken, Sam, I am going to add 4 feet to the foot counter, if I'm not mistaken, I believe. Thank you very much. Why is my history teacher showing their feet? So we are at $261,443. Especially amongst some of the higher estates. The National Assembly is still hard at work. And so at this point, I promise you, I'm really not going to get into the weeds here. You don't have to read them all. That's not the point of this image. If you want to study the French Revolution like super in depth, the depth that I don't have time for, but I have to get into it when it comes into AP Euro and like teach my students this, the amount of government name changes during this, there's a lot. Like they're the National Assembly, the Constituent Assembly. They turn into so many different governments, and I'll tell you right off the bat, just as the person teaching it, that it is difficult to keep track of if you are a student or you've never heard about it before, or unless you've studied it. So do not feel bad, because it's gonna go. So there are gonna be times where I was like, hey, like this is what the government's name is now, just to keep things moving along. So, Lord, thank you for the fire. 7 prisoners in the Bastille. Thank you. 4 foragers, 2 mentally ill persons, and a count who is imprisoned by his family. I appreciate that level of detail. Thank you. I didn't actually even know that. I thought it was less than 10, but yeah, it was the thought, because that's where they wind up keeping political prisoners. There was no one there. Fina, I appreciate the fun fact. Thank you. All right, so what the National Assembly winds up coming up with, and again, this is a National Assembly who, like, they have the flag that's starting to be created. They're starting to get some momentum. Louis XVI, you kind of suck, and we're not talking about you anymore. Lord, thank you again. They come up with something called the Declaration of the Rights of Man and the Citizen. Hold on. What does that sound like? Does that ring any bell? Just the title of what that document is. Does that ring any bells? Johnny! Thank you for the 250. Appreciate you. What's that? I never heard that. Yeah, little Declaration of Independence. Little bit. There's obviously some comparisons there. So they come up with this Declaration of Rights of Man and Citizen, and it's like, okay, we got this document. We got it. Why is it important? Okay, here's go. Why is the Declaration of Independence important? Not just because Nicolas Cage wanted to steal it. What about women? Oh, just wait. Just you wait. Just you wait. Because it's written down. Separates us from England. Yeah. It broke us away from England? Is that true? They just wrote it down, and then the king was like, okay, bye. See you later. What does it do for writing it down? Official explanation. Calling out a king. Act of resistance. So, makes it official. Now we have a piece of, we can put this in front of people, right? People can read this. This can be spread. Or if they can't read it, it can be talked about, and the ideas can be spread. And so now, these ideals that I told you have been floating around. We talk about Enlightenment ideals and natural rights and all that great stuff. Now it's down. Here we go. Only is going to fuel that further. Someone asked about women. Let's talk about women during the French Revolution. One of the things that bothers me specifically is when it comes to the Napoleonic Code. We're jumping ahead of ourselves. But the Napoleonic Code does a lot for the citizens of France. This is going to come after the monarchy, after this, what we're talking about. However, what winds up happening is during the French Revolution, when we're talking about the one we're talking about now, Anonymous, thank you for the 25. By the end of it, they're actually gonna get a good amount of rights that they did not have before. And when Napoleon comes on in with the Napoleonic Code, he has the Rousseau mindset. He's very influenced by Rousseau, who believes that, you know, people are in their natural state and think that women are submissive. And so because of that, it takes away some of the rights that we are about to talk about from women under Napoleon. It's a thing that always is in textbooks that just really annoys me, because this does happen, and like there is an increase of rights. It's not like, you know, there's not equality. Oh, God forbid. There's not equality. I mean, that you talk about that and from ancient Egypt and just how things degrade over time. But it's something, and it's substantial, and that gets overlooked a lot. So women and their role in the French Revolution, oh boy. Remember I told you Versailles is outside of the city? You gotta walk. You're gonna, I know, God forbid. You're gonna have to get there. And so women in particular are very, very upset about Marie Antoinette. Why? Not a lot of people like Marie Antoinette. There's a lot of hatred of Marie Antoinette, regardless of who you are. But this is important. Her hair is a boat? Sure. Sure. Thank you, Rebecca. Their children are starving. Marie Antoinette is a mother. And they're spending. And there's this... Let them eat cake. What? Marie Antoinette never said it. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. And so, thousands of women march on Versailles. And do you know what they're demanding? Bread. But they march all the way to Versailles, and they got pitchforks, they got hooks, they got anything that they could get their hands on, and they storm the Palace of Versailles, and they are looking to kill Marie Antoinette. To the point, history repeating, where Louis, Marie Antoinette, and child have to go and flee back into Paris. They are forced out of Versailles. And so, appreciate you, Anonymous, years and years and years ago, when Louis XIV was forced out of his home in Paris and said, screw this, I'm going to Versailles. This is why history is awesome. Because you have these comparisons where, holy crap, Louis XIV literally gets this trauma of his citizens rebelling against him that makes him leave the city, go outside the city, make Versailles into what is the symbol of gluttony and symbol of just absolutism. Vacant, thank you for the fitty. And then, just 2 rulers down the line, their citizens are going to storm the palace that Louis XIV made, and it's going to force Louis XVI and his family to flee back into Paris. Again, it's just history rhyming, and these are you see the direct consequences, and it doesn't take that long to reach them. So many avenues get it's fantastic. This is also literally why I love history. So, my question to you is, they don't kill Louis XVI here. They don't kill Marie Antoinette. They don't get their hands on him. However, Louis and his family have to flee back into the city of Paris. So, what has this done to Louis? What is going to happen to him because he is back in this city surrounded by his own citizens who are very, very angry? Ram, thank you very much. Bio, thank you very much. It removes the distance, and all of a sudden, Louis...
Liftoff of Mission 41B, the first flight of the orbital Discovery, and the shuttle has cleared the tower. Discovery's 4 computers now have primary control of critical vehicle functions.